So, because in the phrasing of this study title, we can't really tell how variables have been operationalized. We don't know how they're being measured, if they're categorical or continuous. What we can do is just really break this down into what is the influencer and what's the responder. Here, we're looking at the responsive attributions to the influence of communicating about discrimination. So, we know our dependent variable is the attributions that are being measured. Again, here we don't know how these variables are being measured. So we're looking to what's the influencer and then what is responding to. The attributions are what are responding possibly to the communication about discrimination. So the influencer is the IV communicating about discrimination. The phrasing of the study title here is pretty helpful for us because it gives us the language of quote unquote the influence of. So we know which one is fulfilling the role of our independent variable, which is the influencer. And that says romantic relationship. Out of all the options below, we could see data captured as relationship type. So again, that helpful language, the influence of romantic relationships means we've established which one is our independent variable. So we're looking at what would be responding to that influence. Again, this study title has that helpful language telling us what the independent variable is by saying the influence of romantic relationships, fulfilling the role of the independent variable influencer. But what is responding to that? Here we have relationship satisfaction responding potentially to the influence of romantic relationships. So A. To figure out the DV on this one, I might rephrase this to ask, how do these different groups perceive negative online comments? And that better helps me to recognize the responding variable perception of negative comments, the DV. So we figured out which one was our responding dependent variable, that perception of negative online comments. So what could possibly influence that in the study title? It's our age group. So that is our independent variable. What is this study interested in comparing on the dependent variable? Here, it's lectures' use of nonverbal communication. After reading this study title, I am curious, does student learning differ according to the lecture's use of nonverbal communication? Because that question reveals what's being measured here, the responding variable, student learning, the dependent variable. This one's a little trickier. The phrasing isn't exactly as obvious, but what can we assume this study wants to know the most? The use of deception. Okay. So, what is it in connection with? What could influence that? Dating relationships are independent variable. We know researchers are most concerned with the dependent variable, what's being measured, the responding variable. And in this case, that's going to be the use of deception.